Hey there guys, Fave here, and today we're going to be talking about Robux. So today's challenge is, if you've ever thought about wanting Robux, smash that like button. But with that being said, let's talk. How much Robux do Roblox developers make? So I'm just going to start off small, and we're going to keep ramping it up, over and over and over and over. Okay, so we're going to start super small. In fact, we're going to take it all the way back to 2007, when they first introduced Robux. So, on July 27th, 2007, about 2.5 months after they started doing Robux, they released it to the website. They made a news post on the blog, Shadletsky did, and it said 1.47 million Robux has been earned by all the players combined. And there were only 853 Robloxians that had more than 100 Robux. So on the entire website of Roblox, there was only 1.4 million Robux. So keep that in mind while we go ahead and jump forward a few years, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell a side story real quick before we escalate this, okay? So let's jump to 2011 real quick. Let's talk about the most Robux I've ever had. Now, people think I'm rich on Roblox, and that means I always have a lot of Robux. But most of the time, I don't have a lot of Robux. It's just my limiteds that make me look rich. But what is the most Robux I've ever had? Well, first, I have to explain something. Now, if you've seen my video, The Story of Fave, I talked about how back in 2011, I had a very popular game called the Roblox Carnival. Okay, and that gave me a lot of Robux. Now, I would spend my Robux really quickly back then as I was a young kid, and I didn't know how to handle a lot of Robux yet, so it's quick story time. So I remember one night, this thing was going straight to the front page in the summer of 2011. Then I woke up, and I had 11,000 Robux in my account. Back in 2011, that was crazy, okay? So I went ahead and bought the W Ink shades for 9,500 Robux. Now, what are the W Ink shades? Well, the W Ink designer sunglasses were basically, back when clockwork shades were not limited and you couldn't get them anymore, you had the W Ink designer sunglasses, which cost 9,500 Robux. So if you ever got rich back in the day, these are what you would buy to flex how rich you were. 9,500 Robux, very expensive, very cool. All the rich people wore this back then, and Fave with 1A was no exception. So I spent 9,500 Robux that morning on it, and that was my item, man. That was a great time, okay? But, however, 11,000 Robux is clearly not the most Robux I've ever had, considering what the future would hold for me. So, I have to explain this on a technicality. So let's jump forward to 2014, where I actually had the most Robux I've ever had. In the year 2014, the item Dominus Astra came out. So if you take a look at the Dominus Astra, you can currently buy it for 10 million Robux. Now, no, I never had 10 million Robux. So, why is the Dominus Astra involved in this story? Well, in 2014, first I have to explain a concept called middlemaning. So when two people want to do a big Roblox deal that involves trust, they can often hire a trusty middleman so they can ensure that nobody gets scammed, or both of them get scammed if they're a bad middleman. But either way, I was the middleman in this deal. And so basically, there was an Astra involved, and there was 600,000 Robux involved. And the way it would work was, I was holding Robux for some guy to spend it on Unlimited at some point. And so, I exchanged an Astra to someone, and I had 600,000 Robux sitting in my account for a couple weeks, till he told me to spend it on some stuff and trade it to him. So the most Robux I've ever had in my life is 600,000. But of course, that's not the most Robux anyone's ever had. So let's go ahead and jump forward real quick. Now, I have to explain a concept called the Developer Exchange, DevX. Now, a lot of you already know what DevX is. Basically, Roblox developers can exchange Robux for real money. So if you make games on Roblox, you are eligible to do that as long as you're not scamming people and stuff. And it's a way that devs can make tons of real-life money off of Roblox games, okay? So at the moment, every 1,000 Robux you have, it's worth $3.50 US currency, okay? So if you have 100,000 Robux, you can get $350, and you can keep escalating that. So back then, it wasn't $3.50, it was $2.50 back in 2015, which has me jump to this 2015 blog post involving someone I don't like, Taymaster. But anyway, it says here, Taymaster earns the first ever $50,000 DevX payout. Now, $50,000, that's a lot of money. Now, if you go ahead and go by the old DevX rates, which was about $2.50 per thousand, that means Taymaster cashed out 20 million Robux. Now, 20 million Robux is way more than enough to buy the Dominus Imperius, which is currently on sale for 12 million Robux and is the most valuable item on Roblox. So you have that. Okay, that's a lot of money, but who's richer than Taymaster? Well, let's go ahead and jump forward real quick. The richest Robloxian is the account Roblox, right? Worth 200 million Robux value. Shout out to Linkmon being worth 155 million Robux. So being worth hundreds of millions of Robux, is that the most Robux anyone's ever had? How much Robux do Roblox developers make? Well, now we gotta jump forward to 2017. Yes, we're taking a journey through time in my spacecraft as we take a look at people's Robux. So this article from 2017 says a video game you've never heard of has turned 3 teens into multimillionaires. And it's just getting started. So this whole article says a lot of things, but the most important part of it is the article says, this past weekend, Roblox held its annual conference, an invite-only event for the platform's top developers. At the event, Roblox officials said the company expects to pay out $30 million to developers this year. 30 million real US dollars to Roblox developers in the year 2017 alone. And they also said one young developer is on track to bring in $3 million. 2 more could hit $2 million each. Now $30 million. At this point, Robux was worth $3.50 per thousand. So if you're paying out $30 million, you break down the numbers and that's 8.5 billion Robux generated by Roblox developers in the year 2017. But of course, we are not in the year 2017 anymore. It's basically 2020 at this point. So the year 2019 has ended pretty much. And how much further can you go than 8.5 billion Robux, which is a crazy amount? Well, in 2019, we have another article here, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into it. And it's all in the title. It says right here, Roblox developers set to earn over $100 million in 2019. $100 million! Now let's break down the numbers here, okay, which I've already done. So for Roblox developers to earn $100 million, they would have to cash out 28.5 billion Robux. That's over 28 billion Robux. Now, let's put that into perspective here. What can 28 billion Robux buy you? Well, let's go to the Shaggy real quick. How many Shaggies can you buy for 28 billion Robux? Okay, now, the Shaggy is currently 673 Robux. So if we go ahead and crunch the numbers here, you do 28 billion divided by 673, and that's 41 million Shaggies that you can buy with that Robux. Considering that there's only 2 million Shaggies, that's more Shaggies than that have ever existed in the history of Roblox. But anyway, let's even break down these numbers even more. 28.5 billion Robux generated. Now think about a kid buying Robux. $1 can get you 80 Robux, right? Well, if you break down the numbers here, kids have spent over 357 million real dollars on Robux. And to flip it backwards, once again, if a Roblox developer were to make $357 million, then they would need to make over 102 billion Robux. 102 billion Robux. These numbers are so huge, I can't even process it. And of course, you know who has more than 102 billion Robux? Roblox. Because if you go to the catalog and you look at all of these items, every item ever made that isn't UGC, thousands of sales for thousands of Robux, it all adds up to billions and billions of Robux, far beyond what anyone can even process, okay? The point here is, how much Robux do developers make? Over 100 billion Robux. Okay, that's an insane number. And I couldn't believe it myself, but you know what? We took a trip through history, a trip through time, we figured out the numbers, and it's lit. Okay, so let me know what you think down below. If you had 100 billion Robux, what would you do with it? Let me know. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to Fave and Fave too. Follow me on Twitter at Roblox Fave. Join my Discord server, discord.gg/Fave. Thanks for watching. It's your boy Fave, and I am out.